You're listening to The Next 15, a podcast show for the binge listener covering random topics such as relationships, current news, and everyday life issues. My name is Trae North, and for the next few minutes, I hope to make you laugh, educate, and inspire you. Welcome to the Next 15 podcast show. It's Friday, 7 o'clock, and you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Next 15 podcast show with Trae North and Chris McAllister.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is always good to be back in the saddle.
Man, we had a great show last week.
Yes, sir.
Mind over matter, man. That was a deep one, man.
Yeah, man.
You outdid yourself on that.
Oh, no, man. It was just, listen, if you don't understand it, it is mind over matter, and a lot of people don't understand that, and I think we kind of got that understanding on last week, man.
Yeah, man, we had a great episode, man.
Yeah.
Great positive feedback. It's still getting a bunch of downloads.
Wow.
If you haven't heard Mind Over Matter and you're tuning in right now, you need to go back to next15podcast.com and go check that out. What a great episode that we had, man.
Yes.
I was so happy how that episode turned out, man.
Yes, sir, man.
We are going to be talking about Gratuity again. If you remember last time, we had a special guest co-host, Juan Alaman from the 80s Hour and the Wrestling Way Back podcast. We talked about tipping gratuity. Is it expected or is it earned? And we had a really good episode about that. But here's the thing, man. We didn't hear it from a server's perspective.
We sure didn't. You're
felt
absolutely
bad
right.
about that.
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of went in.
Yeah, we did. We did go on one side of the equation, if you will.
So tonight, we were supposed to be joining us was Juan Alaman. He is stuck in traffic. Maybe he'll be coming back, not for sure. And we also have another special co-host that was due here in the studio.
Yeah.
However, he had other obligations, so we had to do a phone interview with him.
Oh, yeah.
And not a problem at all. Great interview. But we're talking about Gratuity 2. It's going to be the other side of the table.
The other side of the table. That's great, man. Yeah. I know this is going to be good.
Yeah. And we are talking with a buddy of mine, a high school buddy of mine.
Okay.
His name is Trae Lee. He's worked in restaurants, bars, and as a chauffeur, which adds up to about 21 years of experience in this field. So this guy knows exactly what he's talking about.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to cut the music. We're going to get right into the subject. We're going to talk about, I asked him some questions, and it was kind of interview. I'm not the best interviewee or interviewer, but he was a really great interviewee.
Okay.
And this cat, man, he had a lot of knowledge to give us. And, man, just listen up, and we're going to play that. Just hold on one second. And we just want to welcome you, Trae, to the Next 15 podcast show. Thank you so much for taking this time to do this phone interview.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
Yeah, man. So let's get right into it, man. We were talking about gratuity. The name of the title of the show was Gratuity. Is it earned or is it expected? And my two co-hosts for that time being, we all talked about it was tips in the restaurant industry. Should it be earned to the server, or should the server just expect to get it at any given time? And wanted to know what your thought process was on that.
Yeah, as far as tipping, I mean, I've gotten a lot of them over my life, and the restaurant business can be an exciting, fun job that way. You know, you're kind of constantly reminded by the amount of money that you're making if you're doing a good job or not.
Okay.
And so personally, my opinion is that a tip is absolutely earned, and there's many ways to earn a good tip. And, I can go over some of those, or we can continue with questions. This is my first time to be interviewed, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I don't really know how this rolls. I'm just kind of going with it. I can talk and talk, but I don't want to talk too much.
No, you're doing fine, man. This is an organic show. We do everything live. Of course, this is pre-recorded because we was trying to get you on the show, and we know you had some other things that was going on, so we appreciate you taking the time out to do this interview. But no, man.
That's my pleasure.
One of our thing was, from a server's point of view, do you expect tips, or is it something that you would say over the years of your experience that you've earned, or what is your viewpoint on that? Because some people think, yeah, go ahead.
To answer that question, I would say that to a degree, personally, as a server, I would expect a decent tip being anywhere from 15. See, I'm old school, man.
Okay.
I mean, it bumped up to like 18% around the 2010, 2012 time frame. It used to be 15% of the total sale.
Okay.
And that was a standard kind of like, a good tip.
Okay.
Now, if to answer your question though, is it expected? Well, if the server does a great job, has a neat appearance, is friendly, courteous, attentive, there's so many things you can do to take care of your guest while you're waiting on them. Just for example, if their drink gets halfway down, don't even ask them if they want a refill. If you know they're continuing to eat their meal, quietly walk by. If you can tell they're in a deep conversation, don't even say anything. Put a beverage nap down, place their drink down, make eye contact if they want to look at you, and go about your business. And that's a big difference in what makes a great server, an okay server, and hate to even use a negative term, but a bad server or one that should improve.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's what we were talking about in the first part of Gratuity. We were saying that, if in your case, you doing that would constitute, most of us were saying that would constitute as a tip earned and not expected, because, we would like, hey, some people may feel like, well, you're supposed to do that, and some of us say, well, yeah, they're supposed to do that, but
you are, that's your job. That's part of the job. Absolutely. But yes, just being attentive to what their needs are. Say they have maybe a small child that's crying and upset. A lot of restaurants have little coloring pad, and normally the hostess will give them that.
Right.
But one little thing I would do a lot of times is I would go to the bar area and grab a few cherries or maybe a pineapple.
Okay.
Maybe a few selections of different fruits, strawberry. Put it on a little saucer plate. Walk up and say, would it be okay if I gave your daughter or your son some of these cherries or something, And a lot of times, a little interference like that, the kid looks at it and loves it and quits crying.
Right. See, that's going, to me, that's going above, to me, that's a great server, going above the call of duty,
Well, it's sort of like, really, to me, I did it for so long. It's almost just like common sense. It's like having I compare it to having a guest in your house.
That's good. That's good.
Have they been on the road for a long time? Is it dinner time? Have something prepared. Let them have some choices. Give them a few options. There's a lot of training that goes into being a server, especially in some of the more high, what would you call it?
The more expensive restaurant, $high restaurants.
The more expensive restaurants, the more. There's a word for it. My mind went blank, but upper scale restaurants. Yeah. A lot of times, before the server can even hit the floor, they have to go through a series of tests, knowing every single dish on the menu, how it's prepared, the different seasons that go into it, possibly even knowing like where a certain fish might come from. Is it an Atlantic salmon or is it a farm-raised salmon? I mean, there's a lot of knowledge that I've gained in several of the restaurants that I was in that, it helps. If somebody has a question, just being able to answer some of those and just kind of being an expert at your job.
So we just heard Trae Lee answer that question, man. What do you think about that, man? He's evidently
very experienced. Yeah, very experienced, man. And I agree with him. Like he was talking about, you know, the ones that go above and beyond, those individuals. I mean, you know, is it expected? At that point, if I'm that good, I'm expecting a tip. You know what I mean? If I'm coming over and I'm giving your children's cherries just so they could be quiet, you know,
pineapples, fruit baskets.
Yeah, you know, but I like the attention to detail that he was talking about, and you can tell this is something that he did for quite some time,
right?
Because the fact of like, hey, you notice that they're over there having a deep conversation, but the water still needs to be filled, so you go over there, either make eye contact but say nothing. You know, a lot of communication is nonverbal, and you know, and that's when you know you. I mean, not just that you're getting good, but people notice that is the nonverbal communication when you're talking about serving. And so, like for me, you're definitely getting a tip. And he was also talking about going, you know, when he started, you know, tips were like, you know, were at 10% and went up to 15%.
I think he said 15 and went to 18.
15 and went to 18, yeah. And then I'm like, you know, to get that 18%, you're going to have to do everything that you just said that you got to do, man.
I would think he went even above that, though, because here's the thing. He's, to me, when he had the attentiveness of a child. Yeah. Now, I registered that as he wants to ensure that everybody's happy and enjoying that meal. Right. It's almost as if he was babysitting from afar. Nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
that's good.
It's almost as if, you know, I'm making sure that everybody's happy.
Yeah.
The little one's not happy. Let me bring him some cherries. Let me bring him some pineapples or a pencil and a crayon and something so that everybody is happy. Yeah. And I mean, hey, if I'm in his shoes at this point, I'm going, I do want everybody happy because I want that tip.
Exactly.
I don't need an agitated parent, you know, that's ready to just hurry up, let's eat and get up out of here, and you forget about the service that I just provided.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with that. That statement of babysitting from afar. Yeah. Like that type of stuff, again, that attention to detail. Well, hey, you got two kids arguing at the table, little ones fussing or fighting at the table. Right. So let me bring something to distract that, and not even just the cherries or the pineapples, or let's get, you know, if my place of business offer coloring books and stuff like that, you know, and I see that they're kind of done with their meal that through eating, then here, you know, they scribbled over that one paper. Let me bring another page out to them. Oh, hey, you know, hey, you just finished up Iron Man. Here goes Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, and so that if you get that type of server, I'm telling you, every single time, if you know, I'm gonna pay you that. I'm gonna give you that extra.
I'll do you one better. Every time I frequent that restaurant, I'm asking for Trae.
I'm asking for you. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, is Trae here today? No. Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. When does he work again? Wednesday. I'll be here Wednesday. What time? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? And you're absolutely right. And you can build a customer base.
Yeah, that's how I was in my brain. I was like, he's genius.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I look at, okay, I'm a male. Like if she's a single parent.
Yeah.
And she sees the way I am with her kid.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get those digits tonight.
Yeah. Door opened. You know what I mean? And you find any way to walk through that door, man. Yeah. I tell you that, dude. That's awesome, bro. Like,
yeah.
Trae, that's great, man. Like, now, I mean, and again, I didn't think of it from that point of view.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'll put it to you this way: everybody doesn't have the gift of serving.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
That Trae sounds like he has a gift of serving, you know, and it brings him true enjoyment.
Joy. Yeah, that's almost like let me speak, and I don't mean to just go down a rabbit trail, but when I thought about butlers and maids that have that job, you know, because Trae's got over 20 years. So he's not only he's been a server, but he's been a bartender.
Yeah.
They're almost like a psychologist.
Yeah, right.
They got to listen.
They're a therapist.
Yeah. And he's also been a chauffeur. That's a serving role. So, with 20 years experience, I think this guy has
Gotcha.
Has pretty much, learned to maneuver in this business.
Would you call today's Uber and Lyft chauffeurs, or would you consider them as chauffeurs today, or are they public transportation?
Personally, I would consider them as public transportation. When I see a chauffeur, I guess it depends on the client. If it's a regular and I'm their driver, and I don't know if that's, I should have asked him that.
Okay.
But he later on in the interview we'll talk about the chauffeur. Okay. But to answer your question, I think they're public servants.
Yeah, I agree.
I think public transportation providers.
I agree.
That's it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, same here. I think when you start talking chauffeur, I think chauffeur comes with a little bit more of just taking me to where I'm going.
Yeah,
it's almost my daily routine.
Yeah, see, to me, that's more personal. That's like
it's
a
personal.
Personal driver.
Yeah,
and I think he has that experience as a personal driver as well. Hey, Andrea, we see you in the chat room. I'm sorry. How you doing tonight? Thank you for tuning in. And anybody else, I didn't do it. I'm such a bad host sometimes. I want to thank everybody that's out there listening, whether you're in our chat room. Thank you so much for tuning in to us. We appreciate you listening in to the show. We hope you enjoying the program. Let's get into another clip, man. I also talked to Trae about serving with a bad attitude or dealing with others that may have a bad attitude. So let's listen to that clip
right here.
Well, let me ask you this then. We also talked about servers with a bad attitude. I know that me and Juan, back in our college days, we had a bad experience where the lady didn't even fill our drinks, didn't really pay much attention to us at all.
Right.
And, in that respect, what is your opinion as far as someone not tipping, even though you were there, you were on the job, but maybe you had an attitude, or maybe you had a bad day. I mean, from your perspective, how does that go in, or go into tipping, or would constitute a form of gratuity?
Well, anybody can have a bad day. I mean, we're human beings. We can have something happen to us that's just a natural part of life, and when we go to work, and maybe we can't shake that feeling off. But as a paying customer, you kind of expect that. You expect a friendly experience, and your drinks to be filled, and extra napkins if you need that, and the food to be hot or cold depending on what it may be. And I've had some bad experiences too, and I have not given them as good of a tip at times, and I have even what we call stiffed somebody. It was late one night. Some friends and I went to a place to eat, and I asked the guy like 3 or 4 times for some blueberry syrup, and he would walk over and just start talking to his friends again. He wouldn't never bring it over, and so finally I'm like, ask him again. Maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he didn't understand me.
Yeah.
So ask him like 3 times. He still never brought it. Wasn't very attentive. Wasn't nice. Barely made eye contact. Acted like he had a bad attitude. And I stiffed the guy.
Wow.
And I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't give him any tip. Which, you know what? I could count on one hand. Probably even just maybe like, I can't even remember any other time that I've stiffed a waiter. That's the only one that I can remember.
So to not give I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, just that's part of the job. Think about it. I mean, you're tipping because of the level of service that you get. Right. If you get no service, which he brought the food out, and that was it. But
so,
and in my opinion, I mean, if somebody has a job and that's their consistent way of performing their job, they're not going to last very long because they're going to get complaints and they're not going to be making any money. And so, I mean, it doesn't work. And usually that's somebody that is on their way out already, you know?
So sifting means you to not give a tip at all. Is that what you?
Yeah, to stiff somebody, that's a zero.
Right.
That's a goose egg.
So let me ask you this: how from a service perspective, when you have snooty customers or customers that come in with a bad attitude, because let's switch this thing around. I asked you about one if you had a bad day, but when dealing with a customer like that, how would you have handled that? A customer with an attitude or was uppity and as if you're a slave and they're the master, so to speak.
Honestly, me personally, I've waited on so many people and taken care of people, whether it be bartending, serving tables, driving them in the limo service. Honestly, it doesn't affect me, I don't think, very much. I mean, I may kind of like laugh about it a little bit and kind of snicker to myself like later. But while I'm, interacting with these guests or customers, whatever you want to call them, I'm very professional. I remain professional. And, I've worked for some people that have extremely high standards.
Right.
Extremely high. And I feel that it's my responsibility to perform at the level that they expect.
Wow.
And as far as people coming in and maybe trying to act like a hot shot or something, that's just another fun part of being a server, because you work with a lot of people that are serving with you usually. I've mostly worked in large restaurants.
Okay.
And it's, I'm going to go ahead and just say this on the podcast, but we kind of, as employees sort of have our own little private jokes at times about people that never even know that what's going on. Like when you're in front, like you're completely professional, and you do your job or what you're supposed to do, what's expected. But we all kind of, you get away and then, after the experience is over, you kind of make a joke about some things at times.
Yeah. All right, you guys heard from Trae Lee, a good buddy of mine who has over 20 years of experience, and he sounds very, very, very experienced.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, hey, Gail, we see you in the chat room. Hey, Erica, thank you so much for tuning in. This is, if you haven't heard Gratuity Part 1, go back to next15podcast.com or Spreaker right where you are and listen to Gratuity Part 1. Yeah. This is the Part 2 from a server's perspective, or the other side of the table as we title it. We're going to go to a quick commercial and we're going to talk about this last clip that Trae gave us the information on.
Right.
We'll be right back after these messages. Well, let me ask you this then.
Hey there, this is Juan Alaman, host of the 80s Hour and also the Wrestling Wayback Podcast, both on Spreaker.com. So if you found the Next 15 podcast with Trae North, then you can find me. And also check out my new movie, Chased. It's on Vudu, Fandango, Amazon, Comcast, wherever you find your favorite movies digitally, you can find Chased. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.
And we're back on the Next 15 podcast show Friday night with my co-host Chris McAllister.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Those
comments that Trae gave us.
Yeah, let me start at the end and then I'm gonna go back to the beginning. So at the end he talked about, how the servers have their own kind of inside jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No worries, Trae. We already knew that, sir.
We're talking about you, too.
Yeah. Because when you leave from the table, we all look at you. We're making jokes also, sir. And so, no, I'm just messing. But yeah, like he's so right. Listen, especially when people come in, he was talking about having a bad day. Right. And with having a bad day, dude, like everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
But like he said, you know, the people could have a bad day, but if they are doing if they are going in and not serving to the extent that at least to get by, he says those guys and ladies are already on their way out anyway. And I truly believe that like you can't be a server and not be willing and wanting to serve. It's just it's not gonna last long.
Yeah,
you know
I think
what I mean?
in a role such as that, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
In a role such as that, you have to have the capacity and the desire to serve. I mean, it's not for everybody. Now, for some people, it's just a job. But Trae seems to have, you know, that's a passion. I mean,
right.
You know, I'm assuming he had to have some level of passion to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what got me was he wanted that blueberry syrup.
Yeah.
He says, he's like, I asked the dude 3 times for some blueberry syrup. Where's my syrup? Hey, Bree, we see you in the chat room, Bree. Thank you for coming back and visiting us again on the next 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But I think what he said had some valid points, man.
Yeah.
You still have to maintain your professionalism.
Yeah.
You know, like see, to me, even if I was a snoot, I would, and he'd be in my wallet because I'd probably still give him a tip because he did a great job.
Right.
You know, because I feel like he's pampering me.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Like, serve me, serve it. I'm just playing.
Andrea had mentioned the question in the chat room.
Yeah.
You want to address that?
Yeah. She mentioned, is it fair that customers sabotage their food to get a free meal and not leave a tip? Now, Andrea, that's a great question, and I've seen this done on many occasions.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
So, you know, when I say sabotage the food, right? Like, what they would do is they would order something, and I'm not going to even go to the extreme because, you know, there are people like, oh, I found a hair in my food. What is your hair?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's like you bent over.
Exactly. You have hair in your food. And I've seen people eat pretty much the majority of their food and then wait till they get close to the end and then do that trick. Oh, I got hair in my food.
Wow.
I want to take this back. And then they use the excuse, well, I didn't see it until now. Well, it wasn't there until now. You know what I mean?
How do you argue that?
Yeah, you don't. As the like the owner of the business or as the raider, you don't argue that. Because there is no determining. Like, you don't have any forensics to go into to figure out whose hair this is.
You come back with a
blue light. Or a black light, I mean.
Come back with some tweezers, like, hold on, we'll be right back. We have the chemicals to test.
Yeah, like come here with the DNA machine. But yes, at that point, you just Andrew said, yeah, customers always right. I agree halfway with that statement. You know, are they always right? No. Do you tell them that? No. You know what I mean? So
you tell them that no.
Yeah, I just, you know, it's the craziest thing. But, you know, you have, to me, like, that's the other opposite end of it. You do have those customers that will come in and make the waiter have a bad day. Like,
that's true.
They are the ones, hey, what's going on, Ty? And so they are the ones that make these waiters have that bad day, man. You have people that come in and will lie and say, well, I'm not going to pay for the food because I had a bad server.
Right.
Like, I've seen that done. Well, you didn't fill my water, or you didn't, you know, or maybe an accident happened. Like, hey, you spilled my water, so I'm not going to pay for my entire food. What? Like, I've seen that, dude. Like, and it's, I know how crazy it sounds, and they got away with it.
Have you done it?
No. Oh, okay. I have never done that, man. And that's he says I need a tip. And that's so crazy to me, man, because, like, what kind of person are you for you to walk into a restaurant, knowing that you don't have the money to pay for the food that you're ordering.
You're a thief.
Exactly.
That's what you are.
You're
stealing.
That you know what? You are a thief. You are absolutely correct.
That's a thief. He's just doing it in front of your face.
Yeah, dude.
You can't do anything about it.
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm sorry.
Phone lines are open at 512-827-9164 if you want to get in on this discussion.
That's crazy.
About Gratuity, too. If you're coming in late, we just got off of a clip from Trae Lee, a good buddy of ours who's been in the restaurant business over 20 years. And we've been talking to him about, from the other side of the table, the server's perspective, do you expect the tip or is it earned? And, of course, he said it was earned, and he also explained, his experience and why, that it's earned, but he expects it if it's earned. You know what I mean? And then we just got through listening to a clip from him about servers or patrons with bad attitudes.
Right.
And so, So if you want to get in, call in 512-827-9164. We got another clip from Trae. And it's dealing with, I had this problem on the first episode about Gratuity, about tipping valets and barbers. And like in my opinion, what I would call unnecessary tipping.
Unnecessary tipping.
Because it's just a habit now. You tip. Remember we was talking about tipping a sky cap for accepting your luggage. That's what he's supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
I'm not giving you anything extra, bro.
I had a poll earlier in the week, and I took about 4 of them. The first one was, do you tip when dining out? Actually, 100% of the people that took the poll said yes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And this is what I found interesting. I asked, do you still tip even if the service was bad? How did you think that go?
Dude, that had to be what? Tipping even when the service is bad?
Yeah.
I'm going to go maybe 20% said that they do.
50%.
What?
50% said that they still tip even if the service was bad.
What?
I know it, man. That's crazy, man.
What?
That goes maybe to prove some of my point when I said that it's the obligation. Yeah, or you're just tipping as if it was a fad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What if I think we begin to talk about the tip that's already in that's already mandatory in the actual price of your food.
Well, yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I should have asked him about that.
I get so mad at that. Like,
I wish he was here live.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Ty asked a question.
Oh, okay. What did he say?
Ty says, "Have we talked about the demographics that tip the best?" You know what?
I should have.
That was a good question to ask.
That's a valid question.
That's a good question to ask. Because,
and no, we haven't, Ty.
No, we haven't. And since you bring it up, Ty, I will say, as an African American, I have seen the best tips when I'm out with friends come from my Caucasian counterparts. And those Caucasian counterparts are generally males. I'm going to be very honest with you. White males, to me, this is just a personal opinion, probably tip the best. Now, I, being an African-American male, I tip pretty good when I tip. But I'm not going to tip all the time. Like, I have a good friend of mine, and I'm not going to put his name out here, but I have a good friend of mine that I grew up with, and he's that guy, you know what, and he's the guy that would tip on bad service, but he's going to tip. But if you have great service, like, he's going to go over and above. Like, he's going to match your your level of service. So if you're great, he's gonna tip great. Like again, he's paid for the food and then again turn around, and that's where I got that from. I've done it a couple of times because I've seen him do it, where he'll pay for the food and then give you exactly what the food was worth in the tip.
Wow.
So if the bill was $100, like literally, if the bill was $100, he'll turn around and tip you $100.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Gail says if the service is really bad, she says, I'm talking to the manager. We need to work something out. Absolutely. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
If the service was bad, that Trae put it in the term of stiff.
Yeah.
I've stiffed the server and went and paid the chef, the cook.
Yeah.
I will tip the cook if the food is really awesome and good and the service. I'll tip the cook. Yeah, I really would.
Right. Absolutely. Like I've tipped the cook. I've done, you know what? And forgive me for my pettiness. I've only done this once, so don't trash me in the comments, okay? Do not trash me when I say this. But I've went one up. I had a table one time. I had my family with me. We were out at it was actually an Asian restaurant. We sat down, we ate our food. The server next to us was amazing. The waiter we had, not so much. So what I did was I didn't pay our waiter. I paid the waiter that did with the other family. I did.
What?
I tipped. Yeah, I watched it. I watched him serve that family with grace, a great attitude, and I was like, "You deserve." Like, and the guy, I thought the guy that we had was going to catch on, like, because I kept saying, "Hey, that waiter's over there doing great." Like I would say that while we were eating. I was like, "Hey, who's that guy? Because he's doing a great job serving."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wish you would pick up on the signals. You know what I mean? And he didn't, so he didn't get paid. So wow.
That's worse than me leaving the penny for the lady that I said in the first episode.
Yeah, that
you know what? I'm going to tip, but I'm just going to tip him, and it had nothing to do with the table.
Yeah, I did.
I
did. I put it in his hand. I put it in his hands, and I told him, "Hey, man, I watched you serve these people. You did such a wonderful job. Here's the tip."
Wow.
So.
Well, let's hear Trae's last part of the interview. Let's hear Trae's point of view about tipping valets and that sort. And then after we hear that clip, we'll go to our last commercial, and then we'll kind of wrap things up.
Sweet.
We'll see you right back at the next 15 after this clip. I know you got to go, but I got a couple of more questions. What do you feel now? Because you said you had also almost 8 years of chauffeur experience. And one of the questions came up with a valet driver or valet guy, and it was actually one of mine. I was like, well, why do we tip a valet driver when that's what they're supposed to do? Take your car. And Juan's response was basically so you can get a better parking spot where they don't ding your doors and so forth. What is your response to should a valet? Coming from a guy that's driven cars, and I understand that might be a little bit different because chauffeuring, you're driving people around, and a valet person is just parking a car. But do you think that's worthy of a tip since that's their primarily responsibility is to park my car and then bring it back to me? I mean...
Well, before we move into that part of the interview, I did want to touch on the fact that servers make $213, and this possibly might be the same as a valet. I'm not sure. I've never done valet job.
Okay.
But for a server, your wage in Texas is $2.13 per hour. And you are required most of the restaurants I've worked at, you're required to claim your tips. Okay? So at the end of the week, say you claimed $600 in tips. Your check is zero. You get nothing. And that's wow. It's a job where you're depending on your tips for your income. As far as a valet, like I said, I don't have a lot of knowledge of them, what they're paid, but I will say this. I absolutely think that it's worth a good tip, especially in the city, like in Austin,
okay,
or if you're in a busy area where it can be really hard to find a good spot. Sometimes you're making blocks for 30, 40 minutes, and you still can't find a place very close, and then you have to walk forever.
That's true.
And me personally, I prefer to try to look for somewhere, and there's a lot of parking garages downtown, which makes it pretty convenient.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to park my own car. I've only used a valet a few times, and usually I usually give them like $5. That's kind of my standard valet. I honestly don't even know if that's enough. I'm embarrassed to say that, but I mean, I tip my hairdresser every single time.
Okay, I was just about to say that. Barbers and okay.
Yeah, I go to different restaurants. I won't mention any names, but at some places where a lot of these places are places that I've been over and over and over, and I know it's really good quality. And a lot of times they don't come and fill my drinks or anything like that, but at the end when I fill out my credit card or pay with cash, a lot of times I'll throw $1 or $2 in there. And honestly, especially right now with the stuff going on currently with Corona, I just got done listening to a podcast by Bill Burr, and him saying that a lot of these restaurants, he was talking about New York, but it's all over. It's here too. It's all over America. You're going to see a lot of places close.
Yeah.
But then I feel that we're going to come back, and I won't go too far into that, but I think it'll take time to bounce back. But especially right now, like when I go get a to-go order, typically on a to-go order, I might tip, depending on how many plates I get, maybe 10%, maybe 5% of the bill. I usually give them maybe $3 or $4, and because I've been a bartender that's made to-go orders a lot, and that's typically what I got.
Okay.
But man, when I go now, I give them 15 to 18%, even extra sometimes, because at the end of the day, man, we're all in this together. And if somebody's doing a good job and they're making something good for you and it's convenient, then it cuts time out that I would have to do all that for myself at home. You know?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh man, hey, listen, Trae, man, I'm not gonna hold you any longer. You've actually answered 2 or 3 questions that I had going on in my head about the barber and the bartenders and stuff like that. So, man, I really appreciate your time, man. Again, maybe we can get you in here on another show, or if there is a part 3, we would love to have you. But, man, thank you so much for taking the time for this interview. And, man, you just have a great day, man. We love you and we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, man. It's been a good experience. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me, and I hope it helps out.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Next 15 podcast show with Trae North right here on Spreaker.com.
Hi, this is Pastor Monica Rivers of Akkad Ministries in Rockford, Illinois, and I'll be co-hosting an all-new episode of the Next 15 podcast show with Trae North and Chris McAllister. Join me on Friday, September 18th at 7 p.m. as we talk about relationships from a biblical perspective. Go to Spreaker.com and search Next 15 to tune in and chat live. I'll see you on the Next 15.
And we are back on the Next 15 podcast show. Welcome back. You heard the last clip.
Yeah, man.
Well.
Yeah, man.
Tipping the valet. He tips his barber, his hairdresser.
Yeah.
What do you think about those comments?
So I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna agree. I personally, in my personal life, I personally tip my barber
Absolutely.
every time.
Absolutely.
Like,
without fail.
Without fail. Like, the charge that he gives.
Yeah,
I'm gonna add $5 onto it. It just it is what it is. And if he does a really good job, if I'm trying to change it up, and he does exactly what I'm looking for him to do,
right,
that 5 turns into a 10. Like, it's just,
I had to go back when I was interviewing him. I had to go back and digress a little bit because I was going, why would you tip certain people for doing their job? A barber's supposed to cut your hair.
Right.
And I looked and go, oh, man, you little hypocrite.
Yeah.
You tip your barber every time. That's why he slides you in the chair before everybody else.
Absolutely. That's why I tip, sir.
That's why I can make an appointment at the last minute and my barber's like, bet, because he knows.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get, for my head, you're going to get the price of 2. Like, so there have been many of times I've walked in and I was not the next guy. And he didn't make it known that I was not the next guy.
Right.
He would be like, hey, Chris, how you doing? Come on in and sit down.
Absolutely.
And I'd be like, bet money. You know what I mean? Because he knows.
I did a poll on that.
Okay.
Do you tip your barber or hairstylist? 83% said yes and 17% said no.
The 17% that said no, you are the ones that do your hair most of the time by yourself.
Or your haircut's always messed up.
Right, you're going to the wrong barber.
Braids comes out after the first week.
Bree in the chat said, should I tip my mailman? If you want to keep getting the right mail, baby.
Gail says, I tip the hairstylist to cover for those last-minute appointment requests or sometimes being late. Yeah. That's how you do it. When you're late at the job, you bring donuts.
Yeah, absolutely. And kolaches if you're really late.
Also, I did and this surprised me here because I was the number one talker against this. Would you tip a valet driver?
No.
Well, I wouldn't either. However, 100% of the survey, the people said yes.
Yeah, because
they will tip their valet driver.
Well, the reason why is because they think that it's mandatory. Like, it is now drilled into our head that we have to tip the valet. I'm not tipping you to I'll walk to my car, sir. Thank you if that's what you're looking for.
See, I don't know. Is it hypocritical? Is it hypocritical for me to say that I don't tip a valet driver, but I tip my stylist or my hairdresser?
Which one takes longer?
Well, I mean, the haircut does.
Okay.
Obviously, the haircut does, but I'm just trying to. Where you going with it?
So,
because they're both. I mean, you chose that profession.
Oh, exactly. So, a haircut takes longer, right? Do you have to have a license to be a valet driver?
Yeah, to drive a car. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about like to be in that field of work.
I would say no.
Right.
Okay.
Like, a barber has to go to school to be a barber.
But yeah, I mean, I get you.
You know, a hairstylist has to go to school to be a hairstylist. A cook has to go to school to be a cook. Most trainings, or to be a server, even a waiter has to go through some form of training of customer service for the most part.
Well, so does a valet driver.
Do they? Well, I mean, maybe I didn't know.
I don't know. I mean, I've worked. I've done private security for a condom. Lord Jesus! Wow.
We're live.
Oh,
We're
Jesus!
live.
A condominium. I should have went condominium.
2 shots millennium.
I've done it, and I've seen valet drivers.
Yeah.
At a prestigious condo here, and I'm not going to say names, but you've actually worked there too.
Oh yeah.
And the valet guys
make bank.
Yes, sir. Now it's because maybe it's the level of clientele that comes through there, but man.
And then on top of that, let's be very honest with it. It's not just the level of it is the level of clientele, but it is the vehicles that they are bringing down.
I agree. I once got a tip, and I was just being nice. You know, I brought their luggage down, and they shot shot me a 20, and I was like, no, and I was like, no, I insist. Well, you insist. Bree, I meant condom inium.
I knew somebody was gonna get you, brother. I knew somebody was
thought it
gonna
was
get
Ty.
you. Yeah.
Bree says, should we tip the Uber driver? I'm gonna go. See, people tip cab drivers. Here's my thing. I said that I wouldn't, but I'm going to digress. Again, I had to think about this. If I am in a pickle and I need to get somewhere by a certain time, and you can get me there in one piece, I just might shoot you a little extra.
I mean, think about it this way, because yes, in that matter, I would do the same thing, because if you was my homeboy, if I'm stuck and I need to get somewhere and I call Trae and Trae comes to pick me up, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give him gas money.
Not everybody. I don't know.
I mean, no,
not all friends are that nice.
Right, I know. But I mean, if I'm in a pickle and I'm giving you gas money at that point. I would kind of look at that as the same way as Uber. Like, okay, you came and got me when I was in a tight, and even though I'm paying for the trip, I mean, you didn't have to hit accept. You know what I mean?
Touché.
Yeah, you could be like, nope, I know that joker's not tipping. Next.
He's got a bad rating.
Yeah. He's a 2-starer. I'm just playing. But yeah, so I mean, now again, if I'm using Uber every day, no, I'm not tipping you, dude. Like, this is what I do. Like, that's the only way I can get to work. I'm carless. You know
I wish
what
I could reach Bree's neck right in this chat room.
A deal, man.
My God. Oh my God.
I love our listeners, man. It is hilarious.
I do. I really do.
Andrea said, without running red lights.
Now, if he runs a red light and I'm in one piece and I got where I need to go, like if I was trying to catch a plane and I was running late and that joker got me there, oh yeah. Yeah, the sky cap can count himself out on that one. Nigga, take this luggage. I'm out. I got to get out.
Right.
Oops, I said the N-word.
Boy, you are so best. Hilarious. Oh, my God.
Oh, man, this has been fun, man. I appreciate it.
I hope everybody that's listening to us are tippers, guys. Tip when you can, guys, because a tip could change somebody's attitude. It could change the trajectory of somebody's day.
You know what? That's good, Pastor Chris. I had to say it because I feel like you went into pastor mode when you said that.
No, I'm just saying, man, like because I have seen tips change people's life. Like I've seen, even with me and my wife, we've tipped and, and it literally, I've had a waitress come out to our car and say, hey, you don't understand. And it was a big tip, and it wasn't, and she just did a good job. And you could tell she had multiple tables. She was working her butt off, man. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know she's not getting paid enough to do what she's doing right now. And she's trying to keep up with everything. And so me and Kimberly just decided, hey, let's tip her, you know. And she just came, before we got to our car, she came out there just to say, thank you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I right there.
I agree with that. I agree with you never know what a person's going through, and that could change the whole attitude of the day. Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Listen, we got a great show next week. You guys don't want to miss this. Yeah. We have Pastor Monica Rivers. Yeah. Oh my God. All the way from Econ Ministries. Yeah. She's from Illinois.
Yeah, man.
And she's going to be on with us live next week. And we're talking about relationships on a biblical perspective.
Yeah, y'all don't want to miss this, man. I know Pastor Rivers is going to come with the knowledge, with the heat. She's going to bring it. I'm going to bring it, and Trae's going to bring it. So this is going to be good. You don't want to miss this.
Tell everybody. Same time, here at 7 p.m. right here on Spreaker.com. You can chat and interact. I hope you do. I hope you have questions for Pastor Rivers. Yeah. Had a chance to meet her via Zoom call.
Oh, man.
Very pleasant. Very outgoing. Amazing. Funny. Yes, not your tight up, and that's no disrespect to pastors out there, but very loose, very current and relevant. Yeah. And
very McAllister-ish. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing.
Before we go right quick, man, we got a few seconds. Do you want to plug anything before you go?
You know I do,
Well,
man.
Let's go.
Listen, man. Hey, guys, you know who I am, Pastor Chris, the senior pastor of Life Changers Church here in the great city of Austin, Texas. But listen, I would love to be your pastor, even if it's via online. We have our services on Facebook every Sunday live at 10:30. You can get us there. You can get there at LCC Austin on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube at Life Changers Austin on our YouTube page, or you can just go to our regular website at www.lifechangersaustin.com. Listen, God has a word specifically for you, but you'll never hear it if you don't come. I would love to have you on this Sunday. Again, we'd love to have you.
That's about a 5-minute commercial.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing. I love it, man. I love it, man. I love it. Listen, you guys, we're about to get out of here, but first, before I go, please share. If you like what you heard tonight, share it. The links are on our page. It's on our webpage at next15podcast.com. You can follow us on both Instagram and Facebook platforms at Next15Podcast. Tell somebody that knows somebody to tell somebody.
Yeah.
Spread the word. If you really like our programming, we'll really appreciate it. Also, we have a redesigned website. We have a review and comment section. Please, if you enjoyed tonight's episode or any past episodes, please give us a review, your honest review. We'll take all forms of critiques and criticism. It's the only way that we can get better. But please, you don't want to miss. Again, I'm plugging in Pastor Monica Rivers.
Yeah.
Do not miss her. It's going to be something awesome. That podcast might go more than an hour. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because this woman's going to be bringing the fire, and we're going to bring the fire as usual.
Yeah.
Catch us same time, same place, Friday, 7 p.m., right here on the Next 15 Podcast Show. I'm out. For Chris McAllister, this is Trae North, and we'll see you guys on the Next 15.